Hello again, everybody. This is John with BestPriceNutrition.com. Today I'm here to talk to you about a question that comes up a fair amount, and is, can I gain muscle while cutting or in a caloric deficit? The answer to that is it depends. There's not this one great answer out there, because usually you'll hear people say, no, you've got to be bulking up in order to gain muscle. Well, that depends on your starting point. If you're somebody that's untrained, we'll just say is you've been training less than 6 months, you're overweight, let's just say somebody's 300 pounds, their goal is to be 180 pounds, they've never dieted properly, aka taken enough carbohydrates, protein, fat, and trained in order to build muscle. Well, yeah, if you go on a caloric deficit, and when I say caloric deficit, maintenance, and surplus, what I mean by that is my right hand here represents the amount of calories that you are burning on a day-to-day basis. My left hand represents how many calories you're taking in. When those two are even, we call that maintenance, and there's a little bit of a range where that works in due to some adaptations. When you go above that level where calories exceed, that's called a caloric surplus. When you go below, that's called a caloric deficit. The amount of it is explained by the gap. So that's what I mean by that, because sometimes that'll come up. What does that mean? But so that individual I gave the example of, 300 pounds, goals 180 pounds, untrained. Yeah, and they go on a caloric deficit. They take in less than they burn. They're going to build muscle, and they are going to lose body fat. I can definitely tell you that. Trained individuals, now people who've been at it for years, they've eaten properly, they've done bulking diets where they've been in those caloric surpluses, they've taken in more than they burn, trained properly. It's going to be harder for them to, lose body fat and build muscle. The more well-trained you are, and the greater the caloric deficit, the harder it is going to be, and it's going to be next to impossible on an extreme deficit in a well-trained individual. But if you're somewhere in between, and let's just say your caloric deficit is something like 20%, it's not super extreme, greater than that, and you have maybe refeed days where you eat, calories at maintenance or above on the weekend, some kind of cyclical dieting, yeah, it's definitely feasible. Maybe you change up your training, something like that. So there's a lot of assumptions made sometimes when this question gets answered by people. The other thing too is, what about, your metabolism slowing down from lower calories? Because, if you have somebody who's 200 pounds and they come down to 180 pounds, and somebody who's always been 180 pounds, well, the person who's 180 pounds is going to have a faster resting metabolic rate, because they've been at that weight, that's their set point, and their calories are already set at that level. So there's something to consider there, but I wouldn't get too caught up in that in terms of the differences. The other thing is, I get, well, what about people on drugs, steroids and things like that? Yeah, that's going to make a difference. Obviously, you're going to be overcome a lot of different things. So I'm talking about individuals who are not enhanced, but a lot of the rules still apply. But, people on computerol, things like that, other things, yeah, that is obviously going to make a difference in terms of one's ability to do this, to accomplish that. The other thing that comes up sometimes is, the biggest misnomer too, let me just make clear, is that sometimes people mistake weight and muscle. Gaining weight, losing weight, and building and losing muscle are two different things. When I gave that example of that first individual, yeah, they're losing weight, but they're building muscle. So don't confuse the two. The two are not the same. Yes, if I am on a caloric deficit, I'm taking in less calories than I'm burning, you're going to lose weight, bottom line. But that doesn't always mean you're going to lose muscle. That's really, really important to make that distinction. The body composition can change based on what you're doing. Your body adapts to what you do. If you're a sprinter and you're running 100 meters, you're eating properly, you're lifting, doing everything, there's a reason those guys look the way they do, because to run 100 meters as fast as you can requires a lot of fast twitch muscle fiber, and the leaner you are, the less body fat you have, you're taking care of it in the diet area, yeah, you're going to look that way because your body adapts to it. We get questions on keto dieting too. We're going to do a separate video on that where I kind of cover that. I'll just leave you with this, is that the purpose of, if you're on a low-carb diet because you're on a caloric deficit, if being in ketosis may just be something that happens as a result of it, but that should not be your goal. And it happen as a result because carbohydrates are the most dispensable of the macronutrients. In no way, shape, or form anti-carbohydrates. I think some people, to their detriment, cut them and leave them out. But I'll leave you with that as like a tease to maybe watch the next video. So just to recap, 1, it depends on your starting point. 2, don't confuse weight and muscle. They're two different things. And 3, consider other little variables such as, hey, is somebody doing refeeds on the weekend, or maybe 3 days a week, their calories are higher, they're lower 4 days a week. And lastly, the size of the deficit. The bigger the deficit, the harder it's going to be. I hope this covered this and answered the question for you guys. If you have any others, please feel free to post them in the comments section of the video or blog. We're happy to answer them. Also, you can check us out at facebook.com/bestpricenutrition. Thank you for watching.